generally found these guys to be pretty accurate. It's their World Service out of Iran. But Google this for me in there. I want to get it from another source. Who to raise swine flu alert to level 5. Now, level 4 is total police state crackdown. If they want to, shutting down schools, things like that. Level 5 is forced inoculations. We read from level 5 UN, World Health Organization documents earlier. Considering the rapidly increasing number of confirmed swine flu cases, and again, they keep calling it swine flu. It's a designer virus, clearly. The World Health Organization, it's a transgenic virus. I mean, they're all transgenic, but it's 3 different species. WHO officials have decided to raise the pandemic alert level to phase 5. Swine influenza, swine flu, caused by type A influenza, regularly leads to influenza outbreaks among pigs. The virus does not normally infect humans. Confirmed sufferers in the United States and Mexico, however, are believed to have spread the disease to their families and others in contact. Yeah, Google it. Find me something else other than that. Do World Health Organization, WHO, level 5. I'm going to get that from the UN. It's good to have Dr. Rebecca Carley on with us today to take your calls. Dr. Carley, I have no idea what your view is on this. We've got you on here to get different perspectives, kind of in this think tank environment we're in. For everybody listening at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, the AM and FM listeners in places like Chicago and Miami and the Bay Area into San Francisco, for people listening all over the world on shortwave and satellite right now, what do you think's going on?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me on again, Alex, and there's no question in my mind that this is an intentional release. And I was listening to you earlier as you were talking about how this is now a distraction from the investigation into the Bush administration's torture commands, and isn't that convenient that now everybody's forgetting about, you know, what we should be having now in this country, a version of the Nuremberg war trials. Now instead we're all focused on this emerging pandemic, and just the fact that it's got all these different particles in it from bird and human and swine, where else could this have been made but in the laboratory? It's self-evident in my opinion.
And then it's not even in the regular flu season. The real flus come from east to west. In the few other cases, it originates in North America on U.S. military bases. The last 2 swine flu outbreaks, 1918, 1976, then the vaccines result in all those deaths. That's not even debated. That's in the Encyclopedia Britannica. And then how do you see it killing all these people in Mexico, but not killing people here yet? And it's killing healthy people in areas that aren't overcrowded and diseased like Mexico City. I mean, what makes you think this is a controlled bioweapon release, and where does your gut, Dr. Carley, tell you this is going?
Well, because they've been telling us for how many years now, at least a few years, it's not a matter of if but when. And they've been stockpiling bird flu vaccines, as we talked about on the last show of yours that I was on, this Baxter release of the bird flu virus combined with the human virus. I think that was their intention, was to go the bird flu route. But even though the mainstream media blacked out that information from this country, there's too many shows such as yours that covered it, so they had to, go to Plan B.
And by the way, I'm going to interrupt you. I now just remembered exactly what you said last time you were on about a month ago. In fact, somebody left there listening ought to pull up, but I did 2 interviews with her in the last few months. The last one about a month ago. Maybe, Dr. Carley, you've got the date, or get Rob to give me the date she was on so people can find it easy. You said, I believe it's already been released. I believe we're going to see a pandemic, or at least a big scare out of this, because they admitted they mixed it with 18 different countries' vaccines, live bird flu. Then suddenly people were dying that were in government care, and people were getting arrested saying they were ordered by unnamed pharmaceutical companies to inject people with this, even though they knew it was deadly, but then the big pharma doesn't get in trouble. You said they were launching it. You unequivocally said this is it a month ago. How did you, know that?
Because I've been following these minions for forever, and I know what they're up to. The Centers for Disease Creation, we have 1,088 level 3 biowarfare labs in this country. They are making these viruses. And as a matter of fact, I just want to mention, I've been monitoring the mainstream media to see what's going on. And yesterday they had a news conference with a bunch of talking heads from the CDC, etc., on Fox. And a question was asked by a reporter, how do we know that this was not a bioweapon attack? And immediately Fox News ended the news conference and they brought it back to one of their, talking head journalists, and he changed the subject. Now, that's the question people should be asking, since they've been warning us. Oh, Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. Oh, we've been all scared about this possible bioweapon attack that any of these terrorists could launch on us. How come nobody's asking that question?
By the way, you were on March 12th, and we need to go pull that clip when you said, I believe they've launched the attack. And then I went and listened to some other interviews with you and some shows you've done, and you weren't normally that alarmist. So I was like, wow, she was serious. Really shook me. And I started, saying I believe that this was in the cards. So I agree with you, and just having you back, I'm remembering what you said.
Well, if I could just comment, I don't consider myself alarmist. Unfortunately, the truth is very ugly at this point. But what I tell people is don't be afraid. The main thing you need to do is not allow them to inject you with a vaccination. And I heard you talking before with Dr. Deagle. There's many natural things that you can do to protect yourself. As a matter of fact, you can put colloidal silver in it, breathe in the silver vapor, and direct it directly to your lungs, and that will help protect you. So it's not a matter of being alarmist. It's a matter of waking up and realizing paying our taxes for this genocidal agenda that they publish right on the Georgia Guidestones. They want to decrease the world population to 500 million, and it's happening right now before our eyes. We have to see it so that we can protect our families.
Let's go ahead and play this clip I've been talking about all day. It's up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. This is CNN last night with a top general. Let me just pull up. I forget the pronunciation of his name. It's got a French mark on the last letter. How do you pronounce it? Bonnery. Yeah, this is General Bonnery. What, a 3-star general, retired, saying we need to look at this being made in a lab. Let's go ahead and play that audio, John.
But, the key question we've got to ask is, we think it came from Mexico. That is the conventional wisdom of most folks. The next question is, how did it start in Mexico? Where did it emanate from? We've been able to find that out in all previous pandemics. The question now is to get at the heart of how did this start? Did it start from the occasion of viruses come together, or was it did it come out of a lab? I mean, all those questions have to be answered.
Studying this and interviewing literally scores of virologists and doctors and researchers over the years, they're all saying this is telltale designer virus, a lab virus, and they're calling it a swine flu, and that's only a very small part of it.
Well, I totally agree with you, and what I encourage your listeners to do is go to PBS.org, the propaganda broadcasting station, and get the DVD Killer Flu, where they actually talk about how they dug up the dead bodies in Alaska so that they could deconstruct the virus that they called the 1918 Spanish flu. And it's admitted right on this, DVD, this Jeffrey Toffenberger said, and I quote, "If we can shed light on why the 1918 virus was so lethal and understand the genetic basis of that, that info can be applied to the emergence of new influenza strains." Now, what does that mean, applied to the emergence of new influenza strains? If you read between the lines, it means we can take that virus and combine it with others and emerge a new killer virus. And that's what they're doing.
Well, they admit that the cover for the huge bioweapons program that's 100 years old in this nation has been, quote, research for cures. And if anybody just Googles biowarfare, ancient biowarfare, you'll get all the university text and books that have been written on it with the Greeks, 3,500 years ago, and the Hittites 4,000 years ago, and the Egyptians 3,000 years ago, and the Romans 2,000 years ago, and in the Middle Ages, and the Mongols in China using bioweapons on their enemies. And then today, the public's like, oh, there's no such thing as bioweapons from governments. It's only little men in caves. And then the last big bio attack we had in 2001, the anthrax attacks, the White House admits they were on Cipro to fight it. 3 weeks before it popped up, it turned out to be the most weaponized version of anthrax ever seen, to the certified, patented U.S. government Fort Detrick, Maryland variant. So they just have the MO, the history, the past. They get the gain out of it, get the power, these vaccine companies. Dr. Carley, let's talk about where you see all this going when we get back as we track the latest developments and information. We're trying to confirm right now what Press TV is saying. The World Health Organization is set to raise the swine flu alert to level 5. That's forced inoculations in martial law. The good old folks at New Silver Solution. And the website is supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. This is something that kills bacteria, viruses, you name it, well documented. They've got it down to a super small nano-sized particle. Supernaturalsilver.com. Check them out at Infowars.com. Supernaturalsilver.com.